This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
There's no off-season with KO Sports. Get on board today, everyone. And if you're watching KO and if you're watching Fox over the weekend, geez, you wouldn't have had a minute to yourself because there was so much on. Sarah Jones was covering all the action as she always does. Sarah, good morning.
Hi, team. How are you all?
Great. We're wonderful.
I've been speaking to Mum and Dad. They want to get KO, so I said I'll get it for you because they absolutely love it. And I told them all about the different sports and stuff that are on there that I wouldn't even imagine. Have you dived into KO at all and looked at the corgi racing or anything?
Well, I have. I'm predominantly cricket and AFL.
So not corgis?
So no, not so much. But it's certainly sport everywhere you look at the moment. What a great time to be a sports fan heading into the second test that gets underway in Adelaide on Friday. Hopefully we have some better results than what we did when we were over your way, guys. And
it was grim.
Obviously, heaps going on Foxtel and KO at the moment. We've got the KO Caller, which is a shout-out to all aspiring broadcasters. If you want to be a commentator or a boundary rider or a special comments person, send your reel in, send us a little explanation of what you do, and you can actually get a paid gig on air at Fox Footy for the first 8 rounds of Super Saturday. So
that'd be amazing.
I know, a golden ticket to join our team. And in addition to that, obviously, you're going to have the mentoring of some of the best in the business, Gary Lyon and Jason Dunstall and Brad Johnson and Eddie Betts and Jonathan Brown, the list goes on. So it's a really cool initiative and, don't just watch KO at home, come and be part of KO.
Now, do you have to know about sport or could there be a situation where, like someone like me who doesn't, it would be a great opportunity for people to watch someone learn on the job?
It could be interesting, Nathan. It was someone like you, I'd imagine.
Go for it. Go for it if you want to put your thing in.
Shall I see
I would say, though, there will be some absolute die-hard footy fans that live and breathe the
so many.
sport. So it might be hard to kind of beat them because I imagine they'll be fairly competitive.
Everyone's got a commentator friend.
There'll be a lot of people out there, and we're talking a bit about it off air. There'll be some. You'll find a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old that can call a game like you wouldn't believe.
Or a super old woman.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hey, we had a really weird situation over the weekend, Sarah, where we had grand finals in both cricket and football. You don't see that all the time.
Well, Sarah, can you touch on the one at the MCG? Because the Brisbane Heat playing the Melbourne Renegades, and the fact that you're playing in a grand final like Nat was saying, sorry I'm jumping in right here, but to have it decided with the Duckworth-Lewis situation, it's not...
the weather here in Melbourne was quite awful over the weekend. It was really wet, so it was such a shame that that did have an impact. And obviously the MCG is not Marvel Stadium with the roof, so which was about when it's raining in Melbourne, football or cricket, if you're headed in the car to Marvel Stadium, you feel pretty happy about life.
Pretty smug.
But the MCG is obviously, the world's most beautiful stadium, so we love playing there too. And then, on the Saturday night with the AFLW Grand Final and a packed crowd at Princess Park and North Melbourne winning the premiership. And, it was a really good story. Obviously a replay or a rematch of the Grand Final the year before, but this time North Melbourne getting redemption.
And first
Garner,
expansion team, Yeah,
and Jasmine Garner, who each year seems to go into the AFLW Best and Fairest as the red-hot favourite to win the coveted award and just doesn't seem to poll that well with the umpires. She got best on ground on the biggest stage of all. So I think that was a pretty cool story to emerge from it all.
It was too. And the fact that they had such an amazing year, Darren Crocker after the match was saying how nervous he was and relieved that the outcome went their way, as the Kangaroos did, because you go through those seasons where they were the dominant team, you can guarantee that team gets beaten in the grand final.
I know,
every single time, but they were able to get through.
Did I hear, Sarah, that it's the first time ever that a team's gone undefeated and won the grand final? That's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, like if you look even at the men's season, how dominant Sydney were in the early part of the season, and then that drifted off, and that grand final day was a horror show for them. The men's season is longer than the women's, so very difficult to get through that. But any time you can get through anything undefeated, you're absolutely the deserving winner.
We talk about like a lotto stories.
Person, so a great win for him.
We talk about lotto stories. What's your lotto story? Whether there was a sign that you're going to win or whatever. Imagine being undefeated the whole time. Psychologically, would you go in there at all, Sean, with it, what if we lose it now?
Oh, 100%. And it happens all the time.
So your son was in a team that knocked off the undefeated team.
So what do you do to mentally get past that.
The problem I always find, Sarah, is leading into these games, the team that's undefeated, right, they've gone into a finals campaign, they haven't lost a game, and you get buys, obviously. You win your first home final, and you get buys, right? And I always say, there's a saying in footy terms a lot of the time that iron sharpens iron. So if you're at the coalface and you're training all the time and you're smashing each other, right, and you don't have a break, you stay hard and ready all the time. And when you have an opportunity where you've won games and gone into buys, and it happens twice in the men's AFL competition that you can have 2 buys, are you as mentally hardened for that moment again when it comes to a grand final?
Are you the horseshoe?
Yeah.
And Shaun, I think the point you made rings true for the Brisbane Lions.
Yes.
Like the way they were able to beat the GWS Giants, were able to beat Geelong. Really, both of those games, they were in incredible trouble late in the game, but they just were, right in there. So to your point, the North Melbourne girls to be able to go through, with an unblemished record all the way, it's spectacular. So, a great weekend for women's sport.
Yeah,
and you're always going to be that team.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I mean?
unbelievable.
You're always going to be that
It's a great
team.
record.
Sarah, do you have any off-season before we let you go? Because the AFL season just goes forever, and you're the major part of it.
You go into corgis.
And then the corgi racing, as Nathan said, but there's the cricket, obviously, that you're a big part of as well. Where's your downtime?
Yeah, so we had the draft. I can't even remember, was the draft last week or the week before? The draft,
What a blur.
a big part of the off-season for football, but you're right, there is no off-season. I know the Fox Footy team, we've got a huge year next year with our broadcast rights changing, where the ability to call all the games. So I know the team behind the scenes is working really hard to get everything ready for next year. I'm going to swing into a little bit of Big Bash over the next few weeks and, get ready for football starting. I think the opening round's like early March, around the 6th or something like that. So it does come around pretty quickly.
Yeah,
it certainly does. You'll be a busy person over this Christmas season and New Year.
And we're gearing up, of course, to the Adelaide test.
Oh, yeah, of course, Friday. Pink ball
so.
test. We'll be all over that. Sarah, thanks so much, mate.
Yeah. Pleasure, guys. Have a great week.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
A big congratulations, first of all, for everybody who did the Bustleton Ironman yesterday.
Thank you, Sean.
Incredible.
Amazing stuff. I don't know how you did it in the time you did it. It's quite incredible.
Thank you.
But in the paper today, they've got a write-up on the Bustleton 70.3, which is basically the half Ironman.
Yes, yeah.
And then there's the others who didn't really get a mention in the article who did the full Ironman.
70.3 what? 70.3
so that is 1.9 kilometre swim. You get on your bike, you ride for 90, and then you do the 21k run to finish things off.
That's more than 70.
I know, it's more than 70, so one is called the 74. I should get back to that. But the full Ironman was obviously twice the distance and all of that.
People do the Ironman, the full Ironman, to qualify for Hawaii as well. Yeah, which is the big one.
It's an amazing, and there was a friend of mine who I've been swimming with lately, Steve, and he did it yesterday. He completed it, but so I'm doing one part of the 3 legs with him.
And you're exhausted from that.
Yeah, and every day he's then going off and doing a big run, or particularly on the weekends he's doing a really long ride because
the full
it's 180 kilometres on your bike.
They finish with a marathon.
Yeah.
You finish with a marathon.
It's disgusting.
It's amazing. So
I don't know who invented it, but they're an idiot.
But you know what? The other thing is that, Nate, there's lots of people that you run into that mightn't have been, I don't know, really hardcore sports people in their day, but they just start to do something to
I think
test
it's amazing.
themselves.
And the plotters who just get by. Do you know what I mean?
They align themselves, it might be the mud run. You know what I mean? That might be their thing that they do every year as a personal challenge. I just don't want to challenge myself personally.
But personally or professionally.
But that sucks. Because it would be great to, you know what I mean? I'd like to find that thing where I went, I'm all in. Because I think it's a really great thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of sacrifice for those people.
Yeah.
So congratulations for everybody who competed yesterday. It's
great
magnificent.
Job.
Someone who competed yesterday that was wearing a red jumper was called by the name of Bryce Cotton, who, when you watched the Wildcats play the Breakers yesterday, decided to go on an absolute scoring spree, including scoring 20 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
By half time, I think he was at 40 almost at half time.
Now, I didn't see the game. Were the other team there?
Yes, they were close. They were still in the game.
That's
insane.
Amazing. To be a close game like that, and he still gets that through, because he obviously thought the other team were having a bad day.
Well, in the first half, first of all, it wasn't a close game. They were out by 20 odd, and the first quarter, the Wildcats blew them apart.
But they came back to be within 6.
But they always just kept chipping away New Zealand, and they did a particularly good job.
The little
But
guy
think
with
about
the
it.
double-barreled name, he played particularly well.
Yeah, Derek Rucker's got him voted as the best player this season so far to this point.
Think about Bryce, though. So obviously it's very natural for him to get that ball in that basket. It just happens naturally. You know what I mean? Like,
he was on a tear yesterday.
But I'm just saying,
it's just extraordinary.
For it to come that naturally and be that easy, because when he does it, it looks like it's breathing for him. Like what's happening,
And he's
very
doing
quick
it in the
pace for
face
everyone
of
else.
one or two defenders.
And also
right
really quickly. Like, you know what I mean?
Firstly, Chris Golding's been the best at shooting,
Yeah.
better
Yes.
than Bryce this season.
Well,
like
and then
getting
Chris
the ball,
as well,
right?
the people that can do it.
So more to your point, Nathan. So yesterday when Bryce, I think the fact that these other guys have been hardcore in the spotlight and he hasn't, I know he was injured, and a lot of people, particularly me, have been calling the Wildcats underachievers so far, and I think they have been because their defence is crap. But yesterday, I think it was the case of the other people maybe overshadowing, and maybe forgetting him on the East Coast, and he just went to town.
Well, especially as the previous record holder, it was set 2 weeks ago by the Brisbane guy against the Wildcats. And I'm sure that stung a bit. And so, he smashed the record. So he's now the highest scorer in the 40-minute era.
40-minute game.
Ever. Like, that's outright. He's the highest scoring Wildcat of all time.
I couldn't believe
That's
that James
extraordinary.
Crawford had hit 47 points once.
57,
sorry, and it was in 48 minutes.
You should get something for that.
JC.
That is amazing.
How good. So he was on fire yesterday. And when you see
Just
someone
love to see
going
it.
about it automatically, Nath, when, as you were saying, as easy as breathing, and he was just taking
It's like
layups and
Harley.
he's
It's like when
making
Harley
shots,
Reid's
mate.
playing football. It just looks like it looks like just natural.
But
Like, and he's
Shaun,
having
you
fun.
watched it yesterday.
It's not an
I don't
effort.
think in the last quarter they were looking for him enough.
I think he was knackered, and I think he was happy not to keep going.
Yeah. He certainly was. He wasn't sprinting back to
In the first half, they gave the ball to him every time, and he was taking it to the hole.
As he should.
How long has Bryce been here for now?
Oh, God, I'm going to say 6 years.
Can I say on the news last night, I saw one of the news services, they had Bryce and they're talking, and I can hear an Australian twang getting in there after that long, only that long. And I went, wow, I can hear a bit of Australian.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the kitchen. I came out and went, is that Bryce Cotton? And I could hear Australian in there.
Well, this is Bryce after the match yesterday.
It was pretty surreal. Very focused. That month I was out, it felt like a long time, so it just feels good to get my sea legs back up under me.
It's not
Got
there.
his sea
He said
legs.
something on there, and it was like, maybe it was Struth else.
He's out of contract this year, and there has been talks that he may be looking to go to another team.
Really?
Now, I don't know if that's the case because he did say in a tweet himself that whatever decision he comes to is all about his lifestyle and where his family happy, and they are the reason why he's been staying at Perth in the first
Yes,
place.
for sure.
It's so easy to
And the
live here.
Wildcats are successful. They're a big-time franchise, and
He
you
has a
play
great life here.
in front of a big crowd, and you're the top dog.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Don't
Yeah.
go here. Don't leave here.
He debuted for the Wildcats in 2017. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah.
So can an accent creep in? Is that when it starts affecting you?
His partner's Australian, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's
So
just-
then he's got Australian home. So it would start creeping in, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It always reminds us about this girl that used to work here, and she went over to England for like 2 weeks.
It was a month. She was gone for a month.
Yeah, or 2 times 2 weeks. She came back like a character from
Like
EastEnders.
a real proper geezer.
Doing like pigeons and stuff. That's not. No, that can't happen. That's not right.
I don't think it's going to happen to Bryce too much, but
No.
let's hope he stays here in the Wildcats.
Amazing.
I mean, they pay him an enormous amount of money anyway. He's up around the $800,000 mark, but hopefully he can stick around and he'll be the keystone to their side going forward. But then here's the other part: how long can he keep this?
Yeah, but also
as the number one
if he
player?
stays here, like his jersey will be hanging from the rafters. Like he'll be elevated to like the legend status of the
he's a
Wildcats.
full-time MVP.
Yeah,
of the
for
league.
sure. Yeah, that's right. Whereas that's not going to happen in another club if he just plays a couple of seasons there.
No, that's
so
true.
yeah, I mean, if he wants to make history, that's Perth's the
This is
place to be. You listening, Bryce?
Thanks,
Please stay.
Bryce.
Please don't leave us.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.